Stay sharp, and I'll see you in the next one. Oh, left the travel lock on. What is up? Welcome to Cutting Up. I am your host Mac, and I want to thank you for checking out this content. And as you can tell, there is something definitely going on. We are going to get into another review. As you can see, I had another review earlier of another Sejoy product. If you wanted to see how that one went, click the link somewhere here around the screen on this platform. You'll be able to see that one. But we're gonna jump straight into this one with the other side. This is the Mocha S, and we're gonna see what this can do. Now, I did leave this as a bit of a test. This side has already used a electric trimmer, which is more like a shear style. I usually use all three. The trimmer to take it from this down to this, the electric shaver to finish after I'm done with my fixed blade shave. So I'm using all three when you see my tutorial videos, but I am going to see what this can do in an area like this, and also how finished this can feel here. This might look smooth, but you can still feel just a little bit of that like almost buzz cut feel there. So I want to see how smooth it's going to handle a dry shave. This should be able to do wet and dry shave. We're gonna make sure of that by doing what we should be doing, which is reading the instructions. But you know my style already. We always are going to go straight into the review by looking at the packaging on this. And the packaging on this is, unless there's another box inside, pretty straight from the factory feel. The cardboard doesn't have any of that glossy stuff, doesn't look like something you're picking up from the store. It's what's on the inside that ultimately counts, but I've seen Sejoy do better with the packaging. It does seem like it does have some specifics on there, so I will give them that. So we'll read that in a second. Nothing to write home about with the packaging on this one. Again, it just feels kind of straight from the factory. You might appreciate that, as this is just going to become a recyclable for me anyway. But yeah, I don't know if I really can take points off for that. I can just kind of point it out. If this was to be a gift, definitely put more into wrapping this thing up, because the presentation is pretty, as you can see, cardboard colored. Let's see if I can get this open with human hands. Okay, hold on. Sejoy might not have, okay. So this factory looking thing does have another box inside that is a little bit more presentable. This is a lot more like it. This feels like, now we're talking. It just says Sejoy, and then it says electric shaver, and it has your model number there, Mocha S. So this, I can say, a lot more presentable. It does say the red dot winner. I am not familiar with that award, but it is something that they thought was worth bragging about. So go ahead and look that up. This box doesn't have any information on it, so I am gonna have to go retrieve that one just to read you some stats. But again, this is a lot more impressive. You can feel the Sejoy branding on this, and there's a little shimmer to it. And if this is a gift for somebody, whether it's a first-time shaver or dad, grandpa, whoever it is, this thing here is going to feel more like a gift. This kind of feels like you could slap on a little bow without wrapping this up and give this to somebody. So on the box here, it does give you precise bullet points of what you're gonna find inside. I do like that they broke it down in English. It looks like English, Italian, French, Spanish. You get it in a couple different languages. As far as the product, the name is the Sejoy electric shaver, the Mocha S. The rating of voltage, which could be important depending on where you're watching this from, is 3.7 volts. The rating of power is 5 watts. It's waterproof rating. I'm not going to pretend that I really know these different levels, but if that means anything to you, it is IPX7. And the charge time on here is 1.5 hours, 90-minute charge. So yeah, again, there's a box inside a box, so don't worry about being unimpressed by this box, because you're gonna replace it with this once you get this open. So far so good. Well, I'm trying to open this up with human hands. No need for tools or a knife or anything to get this open. Much more presentable as far as packaging goes. This one just slides out. I'm pretty straightforward. Already I can see the cleaning brush. Again, these things are not always the most awesome of quality. This one is a little nicer than the previous one that I saw in the other review. You can check out that review on this channel as well. Another Type-C charger. What I like about that, as I keep pointing out, is you're not getting a proprietary charger. Of course, pay attention to the voltage of the charger that you're using. This box, I will say, is a lot more presentable. Looks like something you can keep, even though the outside part is a cardboard box. It is something that you can keep it safe in, and I will do my due diligence and do this boring part off camera and figure out what that waterproof rating is. Alright, so what did we learn from reading this thing? Let's just rate how they did this. I will say this is probably the best manual that I've seen in a little while. It doesn't fold out into that like poster style. I like that. It clearly has pictures that illustrate what it's talking about, and it comes in a couple different languages: English, Deutsch, French, Italiano, and Espanol, and it is proprietary specifically to the Mocha S model, rather than, which I've seen in previous devices, where they'll send you something that vaguely kind of makes reference to a couple different models, and there can be instructions that you're reading that doesn't apply to the specific one that you purchased. I will say that this is very, very detailed as far as telling you what comes specifically in the box and all the different features. It even has an area that tells you how to remove the battery, a troubleshooting area, and how to register it for the warranty. Definitely worth reading. What did I find out? Quick Google search told me what the IPX7 stands for. I can tell why they put that on the box. It is something that you have to be certified as. That IPX7 certification says that the device can be submerged up to a meter for more than 30 minutes. I'm not sure if you're helping out Ariel's pops and giving him a trim, why you would ever need to do that, but it's always good to know that it's gonna do way more than you need. If you can submerge this thing up to a meter for 30 minutes and expect it to work within the warranty guidelines, then you know that you're not worried about quickly getting this wet. And I actually like that they went to the extreme to get that certification. We're gonna turn on the device and see the display, but the display has 3 different colors. The colors are going to be white when it is 100% charged. Anywhere from less than 90 to 10%, it will be white with a flashing, and less than 10%, it will get down to red. Hopefully we will not have to charge this thing, so we won't see what the red flashing will look like, but it does have that information in there. It also tells you specifically what to expect in the box. It tells you that you're going to have a protective covering, which you know I am a huge fan of, the USB-C charger, and the little brush, and that's going to be pretty much it. Here are all the indication lights on it. It also brags about having what they call a travel lock, because you don't want, while this thing is in your toiletry bag or wherever you're keeping this, for something to lightly go ahead and touch the button and turn it on. With a long press of 2 seconds, you can put it into travel lock mode, and then when things press it, it won't just go on. This makes it easy to travel. As you can see, it's in the lock position, and it just kind of has an indicator come up and it won't come on. So to undo it, you just hold it down for 2 seconds again, and it will go back into turning on. There's the sound or the buzz of the device. How does this feel in the hand? I gotta say, it feels pretty lightweight. I have had other devices like this and they felt like they had a little bit more heft to it. It does have a more plasticky feel. It is not all that shiny plastic. Down here has that more matte black, which looks like it might be more prone to fingerprints or stuff like that, if that bothers you. But more impressive and more important to me, the aesthetics on it is pretty sharp, and it has a nice cover that you can still see underneath but still protect the outside of that. We're gonna see how this comes apart in a second here. The head pops off, which I'm used to from Sejoy for cleaning, and you snap that in. This device head is magnetic, so that kind of goes right back on. There is a slight little groove at the top part there just to be able to snap this off. What I do like is it is interchangeable. It doesn't matter which side you snap this in. It will work as long as you make sure that these line up into these specific little grooves, and you're good to go. Now, if you are bothered by that, the little blades on there do have an indication that says Sejoy as far as the branding. So if you do turn it, you will see that that is upside down. If that bothers you, you might need to seek counseling, talk to somebody about that. But in all seriousness, it's just really good to see that that's all interchangeable. Turning on the device, it has display that goes through all the lights. The battery display does not have a specific number like I've seen in other devices from Sejoy. That could be points off technically in your book. In the manual, they do specifically tell you how long it's going to take to charge, which is 90 minutes. And it also tells you specifically where you are in your charge. It does seem to have just the one mode. So your power button is just on and off, and the long hole will put it into the travel lock position. This is great for a first-time shaver because you don't necessarily want to start with the highest quality. So while that sounds like a backhanded compliment, but you're looking for something inexpensive, this definitely feels like you're not skimping on the quality without getting something that might be too hefty for somebody who's a first-time shaver. Also, I know that there is a small percentage of women that watch get this for themselves for shaving, and you know their surface area of shaving is a lot more than just their head or face, and they don't have to pay what they call the pink tax. So this doesn't feel super heavy for our ladies that are sneaking over and getting the men's stuff without being the most expensive feel or touch to it. Let's see what this thing can do. Again, we're gonna push it to its limits. I'll be surprised if it can do any damage over here, and I really won't take that much points off for what it will be able to do or the limitations it'll have on this. I never really plan on doing that. Even if I'm not doing a fixed blade shave, I will probably be doing a trimmer, but let's see what it can do and kind of push it. So another thing that I noticed after doing that test is there is a motion to this which helps to contour with the surface area that you're doing as you're going through it. I did feel one or two slight, ever so slight tugs, which I kind of expected because I told you I'm not intending to be able to use this. With that said, the amount of smoothness I was able to get on this area is kind of impressive. I didn't expect it to do much damage there. When I did feel the slight little tug, I knew that I was kind of pushing it to its limitations. But all in all, I'm pretty impressed. This is actually pretty much smoother than this side that I did with a trimmer, and that was all done with a dry shave. So to see that it was able to do this dry shave and then get this smooth level is impressive. It doesn't seem like you're skimping on the quality of the results you're getting from the device while still getting something that's going to be in the inexpensive range and not break the bank. Now let's test it on this area here. Again, we're still doing a dry shave at this point. About the same smoothness that I was able to achieve on this side, straight through the hair without doing a trim, I'm able to get here. Again, I'm pretty impressed with the end result. Let's try it against another texture of hair, my beard here. We are gonna do a quick wet shave just to see if there's any result change. Now, I will go back to the warning that is in here, and I wanna read this verbatim because I take skin sensitivity with you guys very serious. So in the usage section, it does have this warning that says, slight skin irritation may occur during shaves of a few times at the beginning, which is normal. It is recommended to use the shaver regularly over a period of 3 weeks, at least 3 times a week, to allow the skin to adapt quickly as possible. So basically what it's saying is if you're not used to this initially, it can have a slight skin irritation. I don't remember when I first got introduced to using these things having any skin irritation, but that was my specific experience. So just keep that in mind, that even in the manual they warn you, and I don't think that's going to be specific to Sejoy itself and the Mocha S. I think that's just something that they should warn you with all these trimmers. My first time using one of these was actually my barber kind of used it to kind of clean up my neck area and on my facial line work after he was done. So I got introduced to this way before I was doing this on my own, and I've never experienced that. Just keep in mind it is possible. Try to keep everything as clean as you can, and when you're introducing yourself to this, just keep in mind that there can be that slight irritation that they're warning about. There is no other features to it. It doesn't have any gimmicky flip out straight line trimmers on it and anything, which I don't really mind. I appreciate when they attempt to do other things with the ones. If you see, check a couple videos back, the first initial Sejoy trimmer I had is like this 5-head version of this, and it has a couple different features. While it is gimmicky, they worked well. Not all of these usually put much quality into putting those things in there. They're kind of pumping in features to say, oh, we got 30 features, or we have 8 features, we have 5 features. This is not gonna be that. This is straightforward. This is an electric shaver, and I gotta say, I am impressed with what it was able to do on the neck. Again, the smoothness. In the areas that I did previously trim down, I felt absolutely no tug. On when I really tried to push it to its limits and take on my hair when it was fully grown out, I did feel like the ever so slightest of tugs, but again, I never intended to use it like that. I was impressed that I was able to clean it off the way I was, and the smoothness here is pretty good. And again, I achieved all of that with a dry shave. So the last bit of test is going to be a wet shave. So I'm going to go back into this area here that I have not already trimmed, and also test it again with a wet shave here to see what this does before I tell you what my ideas on whether or not this makes the cut is. So let's get into that wet shave right about now. All things even, I am not going to be using shaving cream. I'm using just hair conditioner. Just keep in mind that this thing should be able to clean up pretty easy because this snaps off for easy cleaning, and that's that. So I'm gonna go ahead and prep the area, and then we'll see what this is gonna be able to achieve. So let's start off on this side, the way we intend to use it. And the glide is super, super smooth. Pretty decent. Still impressed. I wouldn't say it is the smoothest thing ever. I personally, from my own liking, would have still did whatever your fixed blade alternative is, whether you're using something like the one blade or something like that, or if you're able to get away with using a fixed blade. But that is still pretty smooth. I've only used maybe 1 or 2 things that have gotten it smoother without using a fixed blade. And again, considering the price point of this thing, that is still pretty impressive, because from an aesthetic standpoint and from the initial rub test going in the direction that the hair grows, it feels very, very smooth. Now let's kind of see, really pushing it to the test, what it'll do in the area that I did not trim. Again, this is all bonus at this point. So I think I've seen enough of this thing to give you my thoughts on it. Cleanup is going to be pretty easy. There isn't any gunk on the outside there. You just open this thing up, be able to wash it up. So what do I think of this thing, the Mocha S, and is it up to the standards of making the cut? Well, 3 out of 3 for Sejoy. So far, so good. This does make the cut considering the price point. I will get into some of the shortcomings really soon, but long and short of it, this is a very budget-friendly option if you're looking for an electric razor, something that you want to be able to travel with, or if this is for a first-time shaver, a young teen that's just getting into growing some face whiskers, or somebody who's new to joining the ball game and they just want to get started with a budget-friendly one of these options before moving into the higher end ones. This is, with that consideration, going to make the cut for me. What are the shortcomings? On other Sejoy products that I've seen so far, there is a digital LED display that clearly tells you where you are in the battery life. This does not have that. I will say the blades seem to be high enough quality. I didn't feel like it was the smoothest shave I've ever had, but I've had the Rolls-Royce versions of these in the past, much higher end ones. This, as far as a budget friendly one, is more than adequate, does more than impressive enough of a job. I didn't expect it to be able to handle any of this, especially with the price point, and it was able to do that, so points to it for that. Well, what are the shortcomings? Let's just get them out of the way. The first and foremost is not really a shortcoming, just pointing out the obvious. This is straightforward, just a tri-head electric shaver. It doesn't do anything else. There is no flip out gimmicks, no nose hair trimmer alternative piece that you could put on there. There is the option of popping off the head, that if this is compatible with other Sejoy products, maybe you could get away with applying another trimmer to this. There's also only on and off. There are no other speeds to this thing. But taking into consideration the fact that they were even able to put in the 2-second hold for the travel lock, that again shows me that while being budget friendly, they didn't skimp on giving you some quality traits. There isn't a lot of gripping on this thing, so if your hands get moistened by whether it's oil, conditioner, some kind of lubrication, water, remember that is the enemy of a good shave, and this thing will only make it easier to slip in and out of the hands, because even with your hand perfectly dry, just the natural oils on your hand does make it feel slightly slippery. So I guess they could have done a little bit better job with gripping as far as that. But other than that, those are pretty much going to be the shortcomings. And one of the shortcomings in this is just holding it to its own Sejoy standard of the LED screens that I've been used to with the other previous two products that I've reviewed from them. It's not to say that you can't tell where you are in the battery, because it does have the battery light indicator that is explained to you in the manual, which is one of the better manuals I've seen with any of these devices. But you know, if I'm nitpicking, they could have added that. I would have paid a little bit more to have the precise numbering on it after they've gotten me used to that. Outside of that, everything else is pretty much really good that comes with it. USB-C charging right there, and the fact that this is certified waterproof is ultra impressive, again taking into consideration the price point. I've seen higher end ones that go up into the 300 US range that will still not have that certification. Are they waterproof? Probably, but they're not boasting to be able to be submerged for 30 minutes up to a meter and still work. So that is definitely points to this thing. And if you're in a bind, if this is a first time using of one of these, this is a excellent starter, budget friendly version of one of these. Something that still looks aesthetically, especially with the protective case on there, like it's pretty much high end. They didn't overdo it with the branding on there. There's just a little Sejoy on the back. Sleek, the matte black finish. Gotta say, it does make the cut. This is worth a purchase, taking into consideration all those things that I said to you about the slight shortcomings. It is definitely still something that I would recommend. Buy it for yourself, check it out. You can throw this in a travel case or whatever, in your gym bag, whatever it is, and keep this with you and stay sharp. Other than that, I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys think of this thing. Please, if you have any questions, feel free to comment. I try to answer any and every one of my comments. If there is a particular item that you want to see me try out, definitely comment below and let me know. Until the next time we're cutting up, stay sharp, and I'll see you in the next one. Oh, left the travel lock on.